Hello, students. Welcome to your English class. Today we are continuing the same chapter, The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by William Saroyan. This is for class 11th from the book Vistas. In this chapter, yesterday we read that there are two boys in the story named Aram and Murad. Aram is 9 years old and Murad is 13 years old, and they both are fond of horse riding, and how Murad brings the horse to Aram's house and offers him for riding, and both have gone for riding now. Now we will go to the further story. We will start from the same last paragraph where we have completed yesterday. That year we lived at the edge of town. On Walnut Avenue behind our house was the country, the village area, vineyards, orchards, irrigation ditches, and country roads. In less than 3 minutes, we were on Olive Avenue, and then the horse began to trot, began to run fast. The air was new and lovely to breathe. The feel of the horse running was wonderful. My cousin Murad, who was considered one of the craziest members of our family, began to sing. He began to roar. Aram is the narrator of this story, who is telling his story, this story from his point of view. And now we are going further in the story. Every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. Before him was our uncle Khosrow, an enormous man with a powerful head of black hair and the largest mustache in the San Joaquin Valley. This is a valley found in California. A man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. This was the dialogue of the uncle, always, to everyone. Now we are coming to the explanation part of this paragraph. Here, Aram is telling us about the tendency of every family. Every family has a crazy streak, crazy tendency in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of that crazy tendency in our tribe. So he means to say in every family there is one member who is considered crazy and who is different from others. So in their family, Murad was considered that crazy tendency, and he was considered as the descendant of that crazy tendency which he took from his uncle Khosrow. And now, who is Uncle Khusro? Here in this paragraph, Uncle is also introduced. He is an enormous man with a powerful head, enormous, very big in size, and with a powerful head of black hair and the largest mustache in the San Joaquin Valley he had. He was a man so furious in temper. He was an angry bird, so irritable. He got irritated so easily, so impatient. He did not have any patience, and he always stopped everyone from speaking anything. And there was a fixed dialogue for him that it is no harm, pay no attention to it. Always, without listening to anyone, he stopped them by saying this. That was all, no matter what anybody happened to be talking about. Always, he stopped everyone without knowing what they want to say. Once it was his own son, Arak, running 8 blocks to the barber's shop where his father, that means Uncle Khosrow, was having his mustache trimmed to tell him their house was on fire. This man, Khosrow, sat up in the chair and roared, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." The barber said, "But the boy says your house is on fire." So Khosrow roared, "Enough, it is no harm, I say." So, through this paragraph, you can understand how Uncle Khusro was like. Always, this was a very serious matter about burning of his house, but still he said the same dialogue to his son who came running from so far. My cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant, the natural um, heir of this man. Like he had the same crazy tendency like Uncle Khusro. Everybody used to say this. Although Murad's father was Zorab, who was Uncle Khusro's brother, who was practical and nothing else, who was a very practical man. He did not have crazy streak like Uncle Khusro. They both were just opposite. That is how it was in our tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit. This is a very deep line. You should understand that here Aram means to say a man could be the father of his son's flesh. Here he means to say Zorab could be real father of Murad, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit, his behavior, his nature, here way of dealing with others. So here Aram means to say that he did not, Murad did not have any kind of qualities like his father. Instead, he had qualities like his uncle. The distribution of the various kinds of spirit of our tribe had been from the beginning capricious and vagrant. Here, by capricious, the narrator means to say very impulsive. He means to say he had in our tribe the distribution of various kinds of behaviors had been from beginning very impulsive, very odd or different kind, and it was not decided that who will be like whom, and vagrant, roaming from one place to another. So the qualities he is talking about, which can go to anyone from anyone, that's why he is using the word vagrant here. We rode and my cousin Murad sang. Now, further, he's coming to their riding part where they are on horse now, and they were riding on the horse, and Murad was singing. For all anybody knew, we were still in the old country where, at least according to some of our neighbors, we belonged. So, now, further, he's describing the area where they are living. We rode, and my cousin Murad sang. For all anybody knew, we were still in the old country. He means to say they were still in that village area of where they belong to at that time. At least according to some of our neighbors, we belonged. We let the horse run as long as it felt like running. They continued riding on the horse without stopping or without trying to stop him. At last, my cousin Murad said, "Get down, I want to ride alone." "Will you let me ride alone?" Aram asked him. I asked. "That is up to the horse," my cousin said. "Get down." So it was a surprising answer. Murad meant to say that it is depending on the horse whether he would like you to ride on him or not. "The horse will let me ride," I said. "We shall see," he said. "Don't forget that I have a way with a horse." This was a fixed dialogue, a fixed saying by Murad always on everything. This is first time this sentence is introduced in the chapter. Further, we will read this sentence again and again through Murad for various things. So here he is saying, "I have a way with the horse." That means he can deal the horses very easily, better than others. "Well," I said, "anyway, you have with a horse, I have also." Here, Aram is too little to understand anything very seriously. So he is repeating the same thing which Murad is saying, that if you have a way with the horse, I have also. "For the sake of your safety," he said, "let us hope so. Get down." So here Murad is just trying to convince him, suggest him that for the sake of your safety, you should have a way with the horse. You should know how to deal the horse, Now you get down. All right, I said, but remember, you have got to let me try to ride alone. Here, Aram is reminding him that you have to let me ride alone. I got down, and my cousin Murad kicked his heels into the horse and shouted, Wazir, run. Wazir here is the name of the horse. So he kicked the horse and instructed him to run. The horse stood on its hind legs, as you can see in the picture, stood, stood on his hind legs, snorted, made the noise, and burst into a fury of speed, started running very fast. That was the loveliest thing I had ever seen. So you can see in this picture how Murad is trying to ride on a horse. So this was the loveliest scene according to Aram for him. My cousin Murad raced the horse across a field of dry grass to an irrigation ditch, crossed the ditch on the horse, and 5 minutes later returned dripping wet, full of sweat. The sun was coming up. As those were summer days, so all these things were happening to them. They were full of sweat as sun was coming up gradually. Now it's my turn to ride, I said. My cousin Murad got off the horse. Ride, he said. So Murad agreed for this thing that Aram could ride alone also. But just opposite to Murad, we will see that he did not have any practice of riding. So what happens to him? I leaped to the back of the horse and for a moment knew the most awful fear imaginable. The horse did not move. So as Aram was thinking it easy, it was not that easy for him. And as he tried to sit on the back of the horse, and for a immediately he felt a sense of fear, which was unimaginable for him. The horse did not move, kick into his muscles. This was the instruction given by Murad to Aram. Kick on his muscles. My cousin Murad said, What are you waiting for? We have got to take him back before everybody in the world is up and about. He means to say, before everybody wakes up, we have to take him back and uh, make him sit on his hiding place. I kicked into the muscles of the horse. Once again it reared and snorted. Once again it stood on his hind legs and made the noise. Then it began to run. I did not know what to do. Instead of running across the field to the irrigation ditch, the horse ran down the road to the vineyard of Dikran Halabian, where it began to leap over vines. So because Aram was not used to riding the horses, he did not know after sitting on the horse what to do. So instead of running towards the ditch area, horse began to run towards the road and reached somewhere else in the vineyard of Dikran Halabian. This is the name of a man here, which Aram is explaining. What happened then? The horse leaped over 7 vines before I fell. Then it continued running. He could not handle the horse as successfully as Murad did, and finally he falls down and horse continued running. My cousin Murad came running down the road. Murad reached to him. I'm not worried about you, he shouted. We have got to get that horse. You go this way and I will go this way. If you come upon him, be kindly. I will be near. So these are the instructions again given by Murad to Aram, that I'm not worried about you that you have fallen down. I'm worried about horse if he runs somewhere else. So you go this way, I will go that way, and we will try to find a horse, and whosoever will find him first, we will be careful about it and I'll be near to you. I continued down the road, and my cousin Murad went across the field toward the irrigation ditch. It took him half an hour to find the horse and bring him back. So finally, they found the horse in the duration of half an hour, and Murad brought him back. All right, he said, jump on, the whole world is awake now. So Murad is very angry with Aram what he did, and because of them, they got late and now they had to take the horse to a hiding place where they could hide that horse because they brought it from somewhere else without their knowledge. What will we do? I asked. Well, he said, we will either take him back or hide him until tomorrow morning. He did not sound worried, and I knew he would hide him and not take him back, nor not for a while, at any rate. So, here, as Murad is saying, either we will take him back or we will return him back or hide him at somewhere till tomorrow morning. Aram was sure that he is not going to give it back so easily. Not at any rate. Where will we hide him? I asked. I know a place, he said. How long ago did you steal this horse? I said. So this is a question which raises a question in our mind also, as same thing happened to Aram, that if Murad has that much practice of riding a horse and he has made a hiding place also for him, it means the horse was with him before Aram knew, before he brought that horse to Aram. It was not the first day when they brought it. So, further story, what happened in the story, we will come to know in the next part of the story. Till then, thank you, take care, and do practice of this chapter by reading it again.